Hey, welcome back to the channel. For those of you that are new here, my name is Lynn. I make candles, body butters, all things self-care. So if that's something that you're interested in, definitely keep on watching. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so that you don't miss any new content. So in 2024, I plan on bringing you new videos about my candle making business, my ups, my downs, all the woes, and all the peaks of my candle making business. So definitely you don't want to miss that content. So hit that notification bell and let's get started. So in this video, I'm going to show you how I make my body butters, which is more like a thicker lotion. Myself, I love body butters, but sometimes they can be really heavy and really, greasy, and I don't like that feeling. So I actually did a little bit of research and was just testing out different body butters. And this one particular one that I got from Brambleberry, I'm in love with it. My customers seem to love it. And I'm going to link that in the description box below. So if that's something that you're interested in, definitely keep on watching. My hair is pulled back. I got my gloves on. And I'm going to read off the recipe for you. So basically, you want 10.4 ounces of distilled water and 1 ounce of, I'm assuming that you can, substitute the oils. I like jojoba oil because jojoba oil penetrates the skin, and so I'm using Soap Beauty Golden Jojoba Oil, the cold process. So you need 1 ounce of it and another ounce of oil of your choice. I decided to use sweet almond oil, also from Soap Beauty. And then you're going to need 1 ounce of shea butter. So the shea butter that I use comes from Whole Supplies Plus, and it's the Ultra shea butter, refined shea butter. And I like using this because it doesn't interrupt the scent. Because if you use pure, unrefined shea butter, it has a nuttiness. Now, for some of my fragrances that have that nutty, or if I'm wanting that nutty essence, then I will use the unrefined shea butter. But for this recipe, I am using Crafter's Choice Ultra Refined Shea Butter. So we're going to need 1 ounce of it. And like I said, you want to play with this, test it out, do a small batch first so that you can determine if it's thick enough or thin enough for you. I've made this recipes a few times, so I kind of know the consistency that I want. And I usually add just a little bit of coconut oil, probably 0.3 ounce to this recipe. And the cocoa butter I use is Better Body Foods. It's non-GMO. I get this from Amazon, but I also heard that you can get it from, well, not this particular one, but they have really good prices at Costco's, but it's just too far for me. It's not economical. But I'm going to use about 0.3 ounces of this. So not a whole lot, but I like how coconut oil feels on the skin. The anti-inflammatories that's in coconut oil. So I like to put just a little bit in the recipe. And then we use arrowroot powder to cut down any greasy feel. So you also want to add an emulsifier. So I'm choosing to use this. It's plant derived, and I got this also off of Amazon. It's an non-GMO. I haven't had any issues with it, and my customers seem to love it. But you'll need 1.4 ounces of these little pellets. It just helps the water and oil to combine. So once I add that, then I'll put this into a double boiler. I'm going to do the double boil method. Just place this in over a water bath. Let it, all marry together. And then we'll be ready to add our wet ingredients to our oils. Okay, so I just took it off a double boiler. Let's check the temperature. I don't have a whole lot of time. So right now it's at 174. You want to add your water close as possible to, 160, both the water, the distilled water, and your oils. So my water is still heating up, and so once it gets to approximately 160, I'll come back. So this is about at 144. This is at 152. It's close. So I wouldn't do this. I normally wait, but for video purposes, I'm just gonna go ahead and add my distilled water. Because you definitely want to get as close to 160 as you possibly can. So then I'm just gonna take this and I'm gonna pulse it for a few seconds, not long, maybe 10 seconds. Just be careful not to splash like I just did. About 10 seconds. So next you want to place in the refrigerator or freezer. I like to place mine in the freezer. Usually a half an hour, if that, but I just check on it periodically because you want it to be in a pourable consistency. So while that's cooling, we want to get our fragrance together, and I'm using, this came from the Dollar Tree. So you want to use about 0.2 is what the recipe calls for of Optifin. And Optifin is definitely going to keep your product from going rancid because it has water in it. So the one I'm using, this also is from Wholesale Supplies Plus. So I'm going to use 0.2 of Optifin, as well as 0.2 of fragrance. Now with your fragrance, you want to definitely check the manufacturing website, the IFRA, just to make sure that you're not putting too much fragrance, because you don't want people to have allergic reaction and end up suing you. You definitely don't want that. So definitely check out IFRA as far as the fragrance load. So I'm going to be making the Man Cave butter. So that is from the mahogany teak wood, which is from Flaming Candle. And I know that I'm okay with using a 0.2 fragrance. But here I'm going to use 0.1. And the reason why I'm using 0.1 is because this fragrance is mixed with my citrus fragrance. So what I normally do is do 0.1 of that. And I do 0.1 of my secret ingredient there. So I just mix that up really, really good. And then I like to put like 1% of vitamin E oil because I just like the benefits of vitamin E. I don't even measure this because it's not a whole lot. Just don't put too much because you'll end up with a greasy product. And once the temperature reaches like 100 degrees, then I add my fragrance oil. I remove it from the refrigerator or the freezer, and I add my fragrance and Optifin mixture. And then I continue to let it kind of, solidify, not really solidify, but come together into a pourable, creamy butter mixture. Okay, can you see that it's starting to come together there? It's like it's kind of clumping together, but it's at about 91 degrees. So I can definitely go ahead and add my fragrance. I just lightly stir in my fragrance. to fold it in. I really don't usually post it in. I mean, you can, maybe like 5-10 seconds tops. I wouldn't go no more than that, because then you'll get a flattened butter, and it will just, the consistency for me never turns out right. So I just stir it in, I place it back in the freezer, and then I'll come back when it's time to pour. So it has cooled down some more. It's been in the freezer for probably about 20 minutes. It's reading at 81 degrees. If you can see, it's starting to skim on the top, and that's what you want. So now I'm going to add a teaspoon of arrowroot powder, just to make sure that it's not too oily. And I lightly stir that in. Fold it in first, of course, because you don't want to get that everywhere. Normally I make a big batch of this, but for video purposes, my husband loves this fragrance, so I'm making him a couple of batches. But I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Support your girl by hitting that like button, subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Stay tuned to the end, and I'll show you the consistency. This is after a couple of hours. Of course, when you let it sit overnight, it will be a little bit more firm, but this is the consistency after about a couple of hours. It spreads really good. I put actually a lot on, but you don't need a lot. But you can see that it is easily spreadable. It's non-tacky, non-greasy, but it does leave a sheen, which I love. And I think that's because of the coconut oil. But yeah, it's definitely not greasy at all.